Wait for a few people to come in here. Send out some messages. Hopefully, I got this set up right. One thing is for certain. Copy the clipboard. There we go. Ah, I see it now. It's on the bottom. Okay. That way I don't have to do this. I think I got this set up right. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start. And people just may have to start it from the beginning. They're wondering what this photo is. Now, I'm stumbling in the dark with this, folks. I'm using my laptop and my cell phone. My cell phone, or no, my laptop is doing the StreamYard. Open the StreamYard, and I muted my self on that. I brought myself in on my phone as a guest, so you can hear me, hopefully. Well, at least I'm hoping you can hear me, because I don't want to hook up my K1 and my microphone to this computer, which I normally do, but I wanted everybody to hear me clearly without distortion or echo or whatever. I wanted you to hear me normally. But whoever took this photo was excellent. And going by the look of it and some of the trash that's still on the ground, this looks like the aftermath when everybody was gone and everybody left. And this picture had to have been taken from a drone. No doubt in my mind. It was taken with a drone. I can't remember where I found it, but I was finding anything I could to try to get a layout of the whole thing. And I'm not going to make things out to the way I want them. I am going to make them out to the way that they were presented and my findings. You had people jumping right away since the moment happened and just gave out their analysis, and it could be bad and not be accurate. I try to let everything pass so everybody digests it and observe what the media keeps throwing out there and what people keep throwing out there on YT. And there was a lot of people that came forward that were experts in this and experts in that. And then people will ask me, well, this person doing this live stream and video, what are they an expert in? One thing I know I'm an expert in is critical thinking. I take deep breaths. I digest in what I see. I don't make conclusions right away because I still have not come up with conclusions. What I do is what an intellectual would do. Someone that is a real critical thinker is ask questions. It doesn't matter if people think that it's a stupid question or it has to be an intellectual question. I digest and I try to ask questions, or I try to find out the information for myself. Now, one thing I really like to do, and I know everybody likes visuals, that's why I'm adding the visual here, and I had to learn how to do this to set up where I can share the screen and y'all can get as best view that I can give you. And if you're looking at the main screen, don't look at the two screens of me, both of me on the side. Look from the main screen here. You can see the highlight of my mouse in the tree, so I'm moving it around. So you can always locate where my mouse is in case I'm pointing to something. Now, I'm not going to give you answers, and I'm not going to give you, maybe an answer to your question. I'm just going to go by what my findings are. I like fooling around with Google Maps. I have for a long time, and Google Earth, and it may not be an updated photo or it's really old, but the Google Maps and Google Earth update, from what I've heard, is at least once a month or once every 3 months. I'm not sure, but it gets updated. Okay, sometimes it takes a little longer because I don't use it driving. When I'm happen to pick up a load or deliver a load to a place I've never been before, yes, I punch it in my trucker's GPS. And I also go by the directions that are given me on the Qualcomm. Sometimes there isn't any, that it's a new shipper receiver, and nobody, if they delivered before I have, they haven't entered any directions. So I'm going to go in blind. It's happened to me a few times. So if that's the case, I don't have the QC that gives me directions, but that usually governs over anything any GPS tells me. So if the Qualcomm message comes back with no directions to this place I got to go to, and I've never been there before, I'll punch it into GPS, my trucker's GPS, and you can take that about 80%, and the last 20%, it could be faulty or not exactly take you to where you're wanting to go. So what I do is I punch in the same address on Google Maps on my phone. That is mostly for cars. You don't ever want to follow that to a point. I use satellite view, and I'm getting a bird's eye view of where I'm going, and I say, okay, that's where the trucks come in, and then I trace myself in which way they would go to the nearest interstate or highway. And usually when I trace that, sometimes I can catch there's an 18-wheeler on the road or making a turn somewhere as that satellite took that photo. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see he's making a turn there. I'm good to go on this road. And it's just a wise way of doing it as a trucker without going under a low bridge or ripping down power lines, ripping down tree branches, knocking over mailboxes, hitting dog houses, seeing children kick a ball in the middle of the street, anything of that. That's the best way to do it. And then I tell you, it has helped me on the road. But I like looking at Google Maps, okay? Let's just say that. And I like going down to street level, and you can zing around on the road, and you can zoom in, look in people's houses, or whatever. Now, when I did this Butler Fairgrounds, it stops you where I took a screenshot of when the Google car was driving around. I would love to have that job. They drive on every road available, and they have a 360 camera on top there, and they take photos, every half second, or every tenth of a second, it just takes photos, boom, 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 boom. So you get a whole view of the area. Well, I don't know if it was done by design or it was done on purpose, but you were stopped right by the red barn on the road by the intersection. And when you looked at it, there was a gate, and it says no parking next to gate. and there was a gate across the road, and that's where the Google Maps will not let you continue on ground view to the intersection there. Oh, how you doing, BA? Oh, Babes in Toyland, I remember, you know. Thanks for coming in here. You may want to go back and rewatch this. I've been pushing myself to do this video and tell people to calm down, you know, of what they feel and what the way they want things to be, and come up with these elaborate stories. What all people know is what we've been shown and what we were told, and we're taking that for granted. No, I don't do that. This picture I'm showing you now, look at my mouse in the tree here. You can see my mouse moving around. Oh, BA, can you hear me very good? Say yes or no. Do you hear me really good? Because I'm working through the phone. I muted my laptop, but I did this so I don't have to hook up my K1 so everybody could hear me clearly. Oh, you hear me clearly. Good. Okay, you see my mouse in the trees over here. I'm moving it around so you can trace my thing here, my mouse. Okay, I'm going to go down here. This is the building on top of that roof. It's not entirely in the photo, but this is the roof that the shooter supposedly shot from, okay? And it is. Now, if you look, you can't quite tell, but if you look carefully, this is sloped. And you got to go up a hill. You watch my mouse here. You're going up a hill, and then it flattens out. Excuse me. And it flattens out. So, and here where my mouse is where Trump was standing. Here's the back high grandstand, and here's the other two grandstands with the jumbotrons on top of them. Okay. Now you make a straight line across there. You know, there's no way that him at top of the roof would have shot to hit Trump and made it over these grandstands without hitting the jumbotron. There's no way. The only way that he could have made this shot, and these trees right here, because mind you, you got a rifleman here from the Secret Service, and you got a rifleman here from the Secret Service, where my mouse is, on top of these red barns. This guy here had a perfect view of this roof right in front of him. It's less than 400 feet, because I already measured it. These trees were not obscuring his view of the shooter, because if it was, the shooter here on the roof would not have had a clear shot of Trump. He would have seen the backside of this grandstand right here. Okay? I'm not even going to talk about the water tower, because if there was somebody up there, they would have known it. And plus, they already reported that there was police surrounding it, and they showed video of it. They had police surrounding that water tower. Now, that water tower from the top, I measured it through Google Maps to where Trump was standing. That's over 800 feet. Now, that's a pretty good far away. And plus, you got to make it through these trees. Highly doubt it. But anyway, the media keeps putting him on the left side of this roof, where you see where my mouse is, and it says previous, right here. On the part of the roof you can see, they keep putting him there to obscure the view that gives these guys, the Secret Service on this roof, the excuse, well, we couldn't see him because the trees were in the way. Well, if that be true and he was there, he would not have had a clear shot at Trump. He had to be on the near side close to us on this part of the roof to make it around this grandstand to hit Trump. Okay? And plus, the roof is not high enough to make it over these grandstands because it's on a hill. Now, I'll prove that by showing you another photo I have. Oh, here's an overhead view of what I got. Okay, there's the trees. They keep putting the shooter, here, let me see my mouse. They keep putting the shooter on this side of the roof behind these trees so it obscures the view of the Secret Service snipers up here on this roof. Yeah, if he was there, but look, here's the grandstand. I had to draw it. You know, here's the stage. Here's the back grandstand. The staging went through here. Here's this grandstand with the Jumbotron on it, and here's this grandstand with the Jumbotron on it. And Trump is right here. Now, you go like this. The only way he could have even come close to having a clear shot without hitting the back of the grandstand is he had to be at least midway into that roof. And plus, there were people right here. If you look at my mouse, there were people right here behind this tree, right about here, that were videotaping him climbing up on the roof with the rifle. I put the gunman right here because it somewhat gives him a little bit of a clear shot, a little over the corner of the grandstand to hit Trump right there. Now, it being staged, I've toyed around with that. I'm not going to say it's true or not true, but if, okay, let's say I do go in that direction and I use my critical thinking. Who would benefit? How much is it going to cost? How many people are going to have to be in the know because this would be dirty? The only reason why Trump would do this is because his name would go up in the polls and support would shift towards him, whether it be sympathy or whatever. But all I know is anybody who just got grazed, supposedly grazed and hit on the ear, his skull grazed by a high-powered bullet and could have died, would have not stood up and said fight, fight, and do a photo op like he did all the way to his car. No, he would have shit his pants and pissed his pants, or both, and they would have rushed him a lot quicker to the car. But no, he kept stopping, wanting to raise his fist for a photo op. That could be possible. I'm not going to say it is or it isn't, but it is something to think about. Me, I've been trying to track the shots, where exactly they did take place, and what seems practical. But for the most part, him being on this roof from the parking lot where you see my mouse, you see the parking lot, from that part, yeah, he's obscured with the trees by the sniper team here. But there's no way he could have made a shot from here. You go straight, he'd hit the back of the grandstand. He didn't have a clear shot at all. Not only that, from the way I look at the footage, now you look at my mouse, and I'm going to zoom in on this here. Right here, where my mouse is where that fireman got shot in the head shielding his family. That's what we were told. I have seen the footage of the guy off-duty medic giving him CPR and chest compressions. And in the video, it looks like he was sitting right about here, okay? That'd be the case. You got to trace it back again. You go from here, through these grandstands, and up to here to the top of the roof. My thing is, you know, if he took the shot, come down and hit Trump, he had to be right here to make it past these grandstands and away from the Jumbotron. Because if he's here this way, it's totally obscured. Now, if he was here, he ain't gonna be able to hit Trump at all, but he'll definitely be able to shoot the firemen here. Okay? Now, if he's over here without an obscured view and be able to hit Trump, there's no way he could have shot without hitting the back of this grandstand or the Jumbotron, no doubt, and hitting that fireman right here in the head. These are the questions I have, because it's either or. Unless it was a weird shot that he made from here that went over the top and then all of a sudden fell or made a curveball around this grandstand here. The whole crux of this whole thing, when you analyze the shooting, this grandstand is a pain in the ass with the Jumbotron on it. It is a total pain in the ass to sell me on a story of the location of where that shooter was. Now, going by the footage of the people that were behind this tree, I think it was this tree right here in the very corner, you could barely see it. They were behind here, and they videotaped him. Clearly, you could see him. I'm sorry that this is in the way, but there are two little things that come across here from building to building. He was at the nearest one, which is right about here. and he climbed straight up. So I put him right here, at least right here. Now, if he being here, have a clear shot to hit Donald Trump without this grandstand in the way. You put him here, this team right here, the Secret Service team, had always been looking in this direction, and there's no way they could have not have seen him up there. They said, well, he was wearing gray fatigues. Okay, gray fatigues on a white roof, and you won't notice? Let alone, I do have another question. I shared this with Darren Dobson. That's a white roof, and the sun had been shining all day. Can you imagine how hot that tin roof is going to be? That's another question I got. I mean, that tin roof had to have been hot because, you know, it's a white color. Yes, it's going to reflect heat, but it's just, you know, may reflect the visuals, but it's still going to make it very hot. And these things were not mentioned. I heard one person mention about the roof being hot, and he was a YouTuber and did his own thing. And to give you another illustration, this is the top of the grandstand, and you see the jumbotron that's on that. And this is pretty high. I mean, this barn here. That's a door. Okay, you see my mouse. I'm going to go straight down. You see the Secret Service team right here. You see he's looking right over at that roof. And this other guy here too, his assistant. They both got rifles. But right here, you got this like garage door type thing. You could fit a tractor. My tractor trailer can make it in there. So that doorway has to be at least 14 to 15 feet high. So these grandstands are pretty high. That's the only reason why I took a screenshot of that photo. And let me, that didn't work. Try to switch this here. Okay, this guy here, I had to take a screenshot and pause this video. He's trying to sell me and everybody the idea that the podium is right behind this guy's hat, and Trump is looking to his right, and right here's the top of the roof of that building. No freaking way. And here's why. You don't even see the grandstands over here to his right. The grandstand obscured at least half of this building. I mean, if the grandstand would have came out at least right where my mouse is, and would have sloped up in an upward view. Because this building, if you look at what I put here, you know, this grandstand, if he's looking in this direction, you could tell he would see at least this corner of the grandstand, but only a partial of this building. And here, let me get to that other photo. This one is really telling. Right here. Okay. This is a Google screenshot from the road. This is as close as you can get, because there's the red barn, and this is where the stage was. And I'm going to zoom in. Okay, he didn't shoot from this top roof building right here. Let me zoom way in, bring it down. He shot from this low roof. Okay, this was the roof he shot from, and this gives you about where that rifleman was right here. Because I can't put the grandstands and everything in this picture, but this tells you how low he was. He wasn't very high up, because when you walk this grass line and go down, it goes down a hill. And the roof wasn't all that high. So you figure the grandstands are going to be up here, your jumbotron's going to be right about here, and it's going to block out half that building. I did some more screenshots too. Okay, there's that one. Number 3. That didn't help. Let's see what number 4 was. Oh, okay. Yeah, here's another view of it right here. And when you look at this photo, I mean, look at the trees here. And you can tell this is like computerized fakery here. But like I said, look where they put the gunman, but they don't account for the downward slope of this hill. And You know, if he were to shoot straight, he would hit the back of this jumbotron or the grandstands here, to where Trump is. And they're trying to tell me that he shot over the grandstand. No, they were in higher ground than that roof was. Plus, it's computer generated, and you don't see the detail of the road that leads around here, because this kind of puts Trump a little bit out there, a little bit too far. He wasn't that far out here. You got to move the stands back a little bit, move this back a little bit, and tighten this in, and that would be more accurate. The only way that he could have made around that grandstand, have a clear shot of Trump, because these stands were a little bit higher. I noticed they made them low, but they were a little bit higher than the way they're showing it right here. He had to have made that shot from this part of the roof, come across away from, he may have gone over the grandstand a little bit to graze his ear. But if he's over here, these trees are not in the way of the gunman here to see him, to nail him right there. These trees were redundant. And according to reports, the ones that shot him was the sniper team on this roof, which is a lot further away. All I'm saying is, there's no way he could have made the shot from behind these trees to obscure their view. He would have hit the back of this or the back of the jumbotron, let alone the fireman that got shot and killed right here. Because you can see the video of that, him guy doing compressions. It wasn't very high up in the back grandstands. He was on the edge here. How the hell did he shoot the guy? He would hit the back of the grand. There's no way. There's not. It was totally obscured by this jumbotron here. See, a lot of things do not add up, and a lot of people are not asking these questions. Me, I'm just pointing out certain things that just don't jive. But people, they're either one side or the other. Whoops. They're either one side or the other, and they got to support their guy, or they got to talk crap about Trump. Me, I can give a rat's ass about either one of them, because I'm not voting for either one of those two parties anymore as long as I'm living. They've had it their way for years. It's time to go with independence. We want 58 brands or 58 different flavors of soup or classic rice-a-roni. But when it comes to something as important with political parties, we know better. Two's enough. You know, like Europe, we don't have that crap here. We only have two. But in Europe, they love freedom of choice. They love having many choices. They got 6 to 12 different political parties. But you won't ever hear our news talk about that. Of course not. They can't let us know about that. But that's the political side. I can care less. And I admit, if Trump got hit in the head and died, I would have not have wept one tear. Here, about less than an hour ago, we just found out Biden is stepping away. He's not running for election, which makes it very interesting. He doesn't. I don't weep for him either, because I don't want either one of these geriatric asses, especially one that didn't put a stop to the genocide that's going on. And that's what it is, genocide. And we as Americans are supposed to be the good guys, would not support that, regardless of who it is. But I got good and bad on both of the candidates. Well, used to be candidates. Trump, he did some good things that I liked, but he did a lot of bad things that I didn't like. Biden may have done a tiny morsel through the American people, a bone with no meat on it, but at least it was something. But it's been pretty bad. And that's why I'm like, hey, man, if y'all are looking for something to vote for, look at the third party. Look at Jill Stein. That's not who I'm voting for, though. And look at Cornel West. Find out who these people are. They're on the ballot. Find out who these people are and learn about them. You'd be like, well, this person's a lot more interesting and not bought up by special interests to keep things the way they are. And both parties worry themselves over these issues that is just, I call theater. Like this assassination attempt. It's all theater. And if Trump did do that, and to drum up the, hey, good, he pulled it off. And it worked. I mean, Trump probably knew about it, but he didn't have a hand in it. You know, a direct hand. They had other people. They would work through other people to get it done, and those people that are getting involved, like the shooter, only knows the person he's been in contact with that got him to do it. That's why if you watch the movie JFK and the Joe Pesci character, which was a true man, what was his name? David Ferrie. And he said it so well in the movie. They were going by the transcripts. He goes, the shooters don't even know who killed Kennedy. They were just hired guns. And then he said, I got to stop talking like this. They're going to fucking kill me. You know, in Joe Pesci fashion. But it was funny, but it was true, though. Because he kept asking him, who shot the president? Oh, he goes, oh, man, why don't you stop it? The shooters don't even know who did it. Because, you know, high officials get filtered through go through a lot of people, and they handle it. That's why, you know, people could come up with a lot of stories, but okay, you got the proof that actually took place, that this was a setup by Biden or whomever. And then you got to think, okay, what's the benefit of that happening? Say Trump probably could have died that day. What would have been the benefit be? They would have the Republican Party would have came up with another candidate and probably had another quick election to who's going to be their new candidate. But it really wouldn't have changed a whole lot. I don't blame Trump for everything that has been going on in the country. No, he's just a symptom. I blame everybody that had been in D.C. since 1963. It's been going slowly over the years, brought us to this point. And they just, to distract us, they come up with all these issues. Oh, it's the gay people, it's the lesbians, it's the trans, it's the immigrants, it's this and that. And okay, if we take care of them, is it going to solve our problems, really? And you got to figure out, okay, what is our problems? It's economical. The American dream does not exist. It hasn't existed for a long time. And when people finally say the American dream is dead, I'm like, where you been for the past 30 years? Yeah, the kids are graduating. It's all coming to a head now. We got a lot of graduating students going to college because everybody sends their kids to college. More college graduates in the history of the United States and the world, probably. But and yet they can't find a job except for at Starbucks. And then Starbucks made it to where in order to work at Starbucks, to be a barista, you got to have a BA. Look it up. I learned this by talking to some of them. I'd stop in a Starbucks along the Pennsylvania Turnpike at the plazas, and they said, yeah, you got to have a BA in order to work here. I'm like, this is weird. You know, if you had a BA back in the day, you were going to get a good executive job. Probably made 6 figures a year back in the day. Not anymore. That ain't going to happen. The National Labor Statistics already did this. They study this all the time, and they're nonpartisan. They got a website, National Bureau of Labor Statistics and Economic Research. You go there. The last time I read, it was a while ago, about a year ago, out of 400 graduating college students, Only one out of that 400 is going to get a good paying job. That's going to be at least six figures. They're going to live middle class, middle class or better, and comfortable lifestyle. The rest of them, they're on their own. That's awful. Out of 400 graduating college students a year, there's only going to be one out of the 400 that's going to get it. And that tells you, that's why do you think everybody thinks the millennials are all about me and this and that, and they called it Generation Me or whatever. No. The millennials figured it out. And I like this. The boomers, the millennials, and the boomers stand by themselves. And then you got the millennials, the Gen Zers, and now this another group, Alphas. They're still young yet, but that generation and the boomers do not get along at all. They hate each other. They talk trash about it. Because I remember being in a live stream making comments, and somebody calls me a boomer. And then I respond in kind like we would back in the day where I grew up, because I'm Gen X. And I'm like, I'm no boomer, bitch. I'm a Gen Xer. That's how exactly my generation would respond. We sort of get along with the boomers because we were like in between the two. We knew what it was like for them and partially our lives until 1980 rolled around, when I was 9 years old and things really started to go sour. That's when wages stopped rising. And then you got the millennials and everything else. You know, it's like they skipped over Gen X. But we knew we were getting screwed as Gen Xers. Why do you think we have the best generation of music out there? We have the largest and greatest collection of music and bands in the history of humanity for my generation, because we knew we were getting screwed. But that's just a little background. But this is about what happened, took place on that day. And I want people to actually see what I see, and I'm just sharing what I see. What does not make sense and what does make sense. There's no such thing as a curveball when it comes to gunfire. Now, there may be when you take the shot and it slowly falls due to gravity. That's natural. But a bullet is not going to go out and then slide to the right and then slide back to the left. That's not going to happen. Sure, wind is a factor, but the wind really wasn't that strong there. I give it a plus or minus a tiny fraction. The wind, it would move the bullet left or right. But once it goes to the left, it stays in that trajectory and continues forward. It's more of a straight line. But nobody can tell me that those shots were made through that grandstand or through that jumbotron and hit the two individuals. Grace Trump and hit the guy. Now, granted, the guy, according to what we've seen and heard, seen the chest compressions and the blood everywhere, the man was hit in the head. And I really feel for his family. My question is if it was the shooter on top of that roof, how did he manage that? Now, it could have been an errant shot, just by accident. But I want to know how it missed the jumbotron and the grandstand and hit him. That's the trick of this whole thing. Because what I'm saying is that's an impossible shot, even if you tried. And people were talking about a second gunman. The only thing in my book that would say that, yes, there probably was a second gunman, was trying to explain how that shooter could hit both of them with that grandstand in the way. That, like I said, that grandstand and the jumbotron here to Trump's right, the crowd's left here, that is the crux of this whole thing. That interferes. If that grandstand hadn't been there, I don't think I'd be questioning anything, really. But that grandstand and jumbotron is in the way. And nobody talks about it. People show illustrations in 3D, but they don't show the grandstands being there. As soon as they showed the shooter from behind the trees, that's why, to protect the Secret Servicemen, to give them excuse. Well, we didn't see him; he was behind the tree. Well, if he shot from there, he definitely didn't have a clean sight, a clear shot of Donald Trump at all. All you could see was the back of that grandstand. And I know as sure as hell he didn't shoot through the grandstand to see Trump. There's no way. But I did this, and hopefully I did it effectively. But let me go back to that one photo. You know how this works here. Ah. Oh, here's a video of it. I mean, look, there's a grandstand. Now look, you could tell the hill here, and here's the roof. It's like, and then here's the stage where Trump was standing. It's like, no freaking way. There is no way he would have had a clear shot from there. He had to have been on this side of the roof. And yeah, from him being positioned there, these trees may have been in the way, but not for the from here to there. It was totally clear. They were looking right at him. There's no excuse on that. And again, here's the stage. You go up to the left on the edge of this grandstand here. See how the jumbotron and this is totally obscured from the view of that roof? I mean, is anybody asking this question? Yeah, it could have been a lucky shot. I'm like, okay, let me know how that happened. See how they put a square here where the shooter is, and 430 feet to the stage. But look at the grandstand right here, and they're trying to say that the guy that was shot in the head was in this grandstand. If you see carefully the squares here, like here's the stage, here's the back grandstand, and here are the side grandstands. There's the jumbotron here. But look at this. From that point, coming across here, he's going to hit the back of the grandstand. And it doesn't show that it's on a downward hill here, that they're much higher than where he is on the roof. You bring him right down here. If you see my mouse, you bring him right here. He gets around the grandstand with a clear shot at the stage where Trump was. Clear shot. And the grandstand may have been a little bit in the way. He could have went over the corner here. That's about it. And then hit him. But now you put the shooter here, and the guy in the bloody bleachers was actually right here. From what I've seen, it was behind Trump. And if he's here, regardless, he's going to hit the back of the grandstand in order to hit him. But nobody mentions this crap. It don't add up. And the people here, down here by this tree, saw him climbing here. You saw this part of the building here that connects the two buildings together, and he climbed right here where it says shooter, but they're putting him way over here. No, he climbed up. He climbed straight up and went right here to the 4 or 5 o'clock position of that where I've just dropped my mouse right here. He climbed straight up right here and was right here. That gives him a clear line of sight to Trump, but not necessarily a clear shot at the guy that got hit here. Now, I could be mistaken, and I'll take it back if the guy in the bleachers that was shot here, but the video that I seen, it was here. And he was low. Oh, and I want to mention that video the guy made an analysis of. Okay, you got Trump here, and then there was a lady, within an eyesight behind him that was acting strange. And they said everybody was looking in this direction. There's no way that anybody, like in her spot where she was sitting back here, would have seen anybody up on they wouldn't even seen this building because these bleachers would have been in the way. Like I said, these bleachers and this jumbotron is going to be the pain in the ass of a lot of people's stories. And I know people are going to say, well, it wasn't that high. And they won't take into account that the roof or the ground slopes on a downward angle, like I showed you in that one photo. Whoops. I'll go this way with it. right here. Here's from the street, no doubt. Okay, there. I'm zooming in on it. Let me see if I can blow this up. Okay. Now you all see my mouse on the side here. I'm going to drag it down. Zoom in some more. Now, you see this roof right here? This is not the roof that he shot from. He shot from this one right here. See how low that is? Now, you put the grandstand up there, boom, it'll come right up about here. I'll give him that. It may have come up to here, maybe it passed a little bit, but you got that big Jumbotron. That's why I screenshotted this, and I'm glad I was able to get, Google Maps to bring me here at ground level. This is as far as you go. But I'm giving a lot of people a lot to talk about, which probably is not talked about. And I let everybody blow off their steam or whatever that, whoever they support. There's no way. Like I said, the grandstand and that Jumbotron really debunks a lot of people's stories. And I'm coming up about 46 minutes. And I'll be happy to talk to this with anybody that wishes to talk about. If whoever rewatches the replay of this video, hey, yeah, come with some information. But I'm giving video evidence of what I see. Yeah, I got my own things that I think about, but I don't make them concrete and believe them like it's Jesus. Okay? No, I don't do that. You throw out ideas and then you analyze that idea and we're like, okay, does this carry weight? Would this make sense? What's the benefit of the people and who would benefit? Just like when you watch the old movie JFK from '91 with Oliver Stone, that Oliver Stone directed. The Donald Sutherland character in that movie was identified as Mr. X. In real life, that is the retired Colonel Leroy Fletcher Prouty. And he wrote books, JFK and the Secret Team. He was a part of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He even flew Air Force One during World War II when he was a lieutenant. And if you go by what he says, like what he told Jim Garrison when he met with him, not officially, they were walking through the park. You got to think of why did this happen, who benefited, and who had the power to cover it up. Those are the three questions you need to ask. Why? Who benefited? And who had the power to cover it up? It's as simple as that. That's why I'm not saying this person's guilty, that person's guilty. People think it was, it makes sense that it could have been a setup. Yes, there are many details I haven't shared with you that could support that story. And who would have benefited. But I'm glad I could share this, guys, with you. And if anybody wants that's watching the replay, you want to talk to me about this, you're more than welcome to. Okay? And I'm only going to do it intellectually and critically. When you come with insults, if we debate something and you come with insult, that tells me that that's childish. And you have no argument that supports or backs up your story with any credible evidence. But I've shown you some. I've shown you things that people really didn't know. People assumed that it was a level ground. No, that makes a lot of sense. It was not level at all. And that does make a difference in a story of a gunman on top of a roof, shooting up a little bit of a hill with a grandstand and a Jumbotron in his way. But you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.